Hey everyone, thanks for joining me today. So I wanted to come out and give you a tour of my garden. Now it's been a while since I made a video. I have really been in the stages of grief because I lost someone that was very, very dear to me, and sometimes it takes time to get past that kind of a loss. Eventually it does get better, and so I just want to say thank you for everyone that's been watching my videos and that's been subscribing. I really appreciate it. I didn't get to plant a lot of things that I would normally plant at this time of the year, but it's not too late to plant some of those things. I might have to modify it a little bit, but I do want to show you the things that I did plant. So come on, let's go for a tour. So let's start at this raised bed here. Now this one has my zucchini squash in there. I've never tried this one before. As a matter of fact, this is the only squash plant that I have growing in my garden this year. This one is called a Romanesco zucchini. I've never tried it before, but I've heard good things about it, so I really wanted to give it a try. Now my rose bush is, I'm so sad because I'm battling the Japanese beetle, as you can see, and they are decimating my leaves. I've been hand picking them off, but it is really tedious trying to keep these under control. In this container I also have eggplants growing. I have 2 eggplants. I have a black eyed Susan and also a banana pepper. Now moving over, I have some strawberries here. I have 2 containers of strawberries. These are the June bearing strawberries, and they are not doing as well. This is just one of those stands that I bought that lifts your strawberries up off of the soil. This container is not getting enough sun in comparison to the one next to it, so I'm really gonna have to move these. I thought it was gonna be enough sun, but it's really not enough. This one is doing really great. I have picked quite a few strawberries off of here, but every now and then I come out and something done bit some holes in there and I have to throw them away. I do have some runners, and I'm going to use these to grow me some more strawberries. So that's the good thing I like about strawberries. You don't have to buy anymore. You can just keep using the runners and grow you more strawberries, because you know they do fizz out after a few years. They don't grow as vigorous as they would in the beginning. I did do a video where I made these 3 raised garden beds using that galvanized sheet metal. I will put the link below if you want to see how I did it. In this container here I have an eggplant. Actually I have quite a few eggplants growing in here. Over here is the tree collard. Now this one is really beat up. I know it looks terrible, but I'm keeping it in here because I am going to, and this one as well, I'm going to take some cuttings from it. You can take cuttings from your tree collards and start more tree collards from it. So that's what I'm going to do with this, and I'm going to move this into a different location. Thinking about just putting it in an earth garden because it grows tall, and by this garden bed being so tall, I don't want to have to really reach up to harvest the greens from it. So I'm just going to put it in the ground. Do have 2 bell peppers growing on this plant. Actually, I just kind of put this in here because I couldn't figure out where I wanted to put it at, so I just stuck it in here. This garden this year, guys, is just not organized the way I wanted it to be, but it is what it is. Next year I'll get more organized. I have a ton of tomatoes growing. I love tomatoes. I love to eat them in salads, and I also love to freeze them, boil them and take the skin off of them, and then freeze them for soups and stews and stuff like that. This is another bell pepper plant, another eggplant. Never had this one before. This is one I started from seed as well. Actually, all these plants in this bin I started from seed. This is one of my cucumber plants. I had it growing over this ladder mesh block, and
I think it's just not in a good location. It's in the back of the bin, and I really didn't give a lot of thought to how big the tomatoes would grow and shade it. But by it being as hot as it is, I think that all these big tomatoes growing has really helped to offset some of the heat, some of the hot sun for the cucumber plant. I did harvest some cucumbers. Here's one that I need to harvest. It got a little bit bigger than I wanted it to be, but I have harvested quite a few cucumbers off this plant, and it looks like it's playing out. So I do have time to start more cucumbers here in Zone 8. Here are my okra plants. I planted them in the ground. I have 3 okras, one there, and one there. And as you can see, I do have some little okras that I need to harvest, because these okras, they grow so fast. If you don't pick them when they're little, you come back out, they're going to be so big that you won't be able to eat them because they'll be tough. So I really need to come out and harvest these like right now. And then this is my grapevine that I'm growing. Candice Red. I just got to trellis it. This apple tree here is a golden delicious apple tree. It is a columnar apple tree. I never got any apples from this tree because I don't know, I had it in a grow bag. It wasn't doing well. I took it out of the grow bag and actually I was going to throw this away because it just looked horrible. I took it out of the grow bag and just left it sitting on the ground, and boy, it just seemed like it just took off. So I'm thinking I'll just leave it right on the ground. I might put something around it, container that fits over the top of it and that sits down, and I might fill it with some more dirt and just leave the roots on the ground, because I'm finding that it does better. So I'm happy that I didn't throw it away. While I'm back here, this is another apple tree. This is a semi-dwarf apple tree, and this is a red delicious apple tree. But if you look at it, you'll see that I do have some leaf damage here, and this is from the Japanese beetle. You can see it closer up here. I've been picking off the Japanese beetles by hand, putting them in some soapy water. I don't really spray them. I usually just pick them off, but this is a time when they're really prolific here in Zone 8. So I really gotta get on to picking these Japanese beetles off. But soon they die down and you don't see them anymore. But this is a time when they're really busy here in Zone 8. But they're so slow that I can usually pick them off and put them in some soapy water, and that usually kills them. So anyway, over here next to this, I have some berries. Look at them growing. I planted so many, I harvested so many of these berries that, I mean, the blackberries that I had so many last year, so I'm really not really all into really picking a lot of berries this year, because I still got berries from last year, but they're growing. I put this TP up here to kind of let it grow up, as you can see, but it is still growing tall. One thing about the blackberries is they have these runners that go out, and you're going to find blackberries growing all over your garden from just this blackberry here. This is the container that I have around it. This is the one that I was thinking about putting around my apple tree, maybe making it a little bit smaller, but keeping the roots on the ground, because it seems like when the roots are on the ground, they do better. I have a lot of wires and things in my backyard, and I would have to call my utility company to find out where all the lines are. They even put a little cable box in my backyard here, so I don't like to do a lot of digging back here. So that's one of the reasons why I guess I could call Miss Utility and she could tell me where they are, but I find it's just much easier to just put them in containers, especially with this tree growing from my neighbor's yard. I have roots all in my garden, and I used to have my garden in the ground, but now I just have raised beds because of that reason. I have some potatoes growing in grow bags over here. It's looking a little messy right now, but I may have a dedicated area just for potatoes next year. But right now, this is where they are. They're in grow bags. And I have some asparagus growing here. Let me just back up so you can see. This is my asparagus, and I haven't really harvested anything from this. I was letting it just grow this year, and next year will be the first time I'll harvest any of this asparagus. I was trying to let it get established. So it's really thick. I'm really happy. I'm thinking I'm gonna really get some good asparagus next year. So looking forward to that. These are my sweet potatoes. I think I have about 9 grow bags with sweet potatoes in them. So I'm hoping I'll get some sweet potatoes. I have about 3 different kinds of potatoes here. This is supposed to be the Yukon Gold. I have, it is the Red New Orleans, and then I have the Pontiacs. So I'm hoping I'll get something out of here. Let me see. These are the Red New Orleans, and I don't see anything growing, so I really need to go on and try to harvest whatever I can out of here. Let's see what's under here. Well, that's a little one there. Let's see. Feels like I got some potatoes growing under here. There's another one. Yeah, let's see what that is there. There. So I have quite a few potatoes here. May have those for dinner this evening. Let me move over. This container here is playing out. I had some nasturtiums here, and they are dying out. It's been so hot. I think this is another tree collet here, and this tree collet here has seen better days. I'm going to take cuttings from this one as well and start some more. I had some purple kohlrabis that didn't really do that well. I did harvest quite a few kohlrabis this year. I've never had Wonderberries. They look like they are just little, they kind of look like blueberries a little bit. They're dark in color. Never had them. So, wait, excuse me, I'm waiting to see how they're going to do. Here is my trellis with my beans. And these are the string beans. They're doing really well. I done picked some. I need to come out and pick some more. But the Japanese beetles are really doing a number on my beans, and I come out and I pick them. I picked so many of them out. I like to come out in the morning and pick them. But as I mentioned, they're kind of slow. I don't know if they're mating or what, but normally it's like 5 or 6 of them on one leaf, and so I usually just dump them in a cup of soapy water, and that usually kills them. I like to keep harvesting my string beans because the more you harvest, the more they keep coming back. Might be waiting a little bit too long because look, these have already turned colors, and I don't like to get them before they turn this way. I have corn. I've never really had much success with corn, but I got some little ears on there. I don't know what it's going to do, but, and then here is the winter squash. I don't have anything coming out. I do see that I got some blooms coming, and let's see here. This one is not a female bloom. I may have to come out and hand pollinate some and see how they're going to do. Over here, these are the succotash beans. This is my very first time planting succotash beans, and let me just pick one here. See. So this is a succotash bean. It looks like a lima bean, just purple. So I'm going to come out and harvest these. But I have plenty of those growing around this trellis here. I noticed that I do have some damage from the Japanese beetles, but it seems like they don't like these as much as they like my string beans growing over there. I do have some discolored yellowing of the leaves, but it's been so hot, so that's normal. Another nasturtium growing here in this container. I do have some more tomatoes growing. Might have planted too many tomatoes, but anyway, that's one there. In this container, I did have some Brussels sprouts growing, and I harvested those already. These are the tomatoes that are growing on this tomato plant. Look like it's loaded with tomatoes. Yep. Here, more black-eyed Susans, and I have a melon plant growing here. It's look like it's just enjoying its life. I have a rose bush growing here. Let me see what the name of this melon is here. Let me see here. This one, I bought this one from the store. This is called the Black Diamond Heirloom Watermelon. So far I don't see any melons, but I'm hoping I'll get something. Let me just go around and look, because sometimes they get camouflaged with the leaves. But I don't see anything growing in there right now. Over here I have a tomatilla that's growing. And here they are. I have plenty of them. I had 2 plants that's growing here, because they do say that you have to have 2 in order for them to pollinate. This is not ready yet, because as you can see, it's really soft. It's got to get harder, and then the outer skin is going to turn brown, and you will know when it turns brown and it gets a little harder that it's time to harvest it. So I have quite a few blooms here, and let me see. There's some growing right in there. I don't know if you can see those 2. And another one there. So I'm hoping I'll get some of those. I got a lot of tomatoes, Roma tomatoes. I want to say these are the San Marzans that are growing here. These are supposed to be good paste tomatoes, which is why I grew them. So I got plenty of those growing. I did have some more tomatoes growing in here as well. There's a little one that I just planted these not too long ago. These are San Marzans as well. That one, but it looks like my melon is just taking over everything. There's one right there. So I don't really want to mess with this too much. Tomatoes, and then I'm gonna go back over to the bins I have here. So this is another one of the 3 bins I showed you. I just picked these. These things grow so fast. They are so prolific, and I had them growing over this ladder mesh block here, right here. That's made out of metal. They use them you can find these in the concrete section. They use them for reinforcement of concrete. And I did put some wood supports in them in order to make them a little more sturdier. Too shaky. I have more heirloom tomatoes growing in here. I have a lot of tomatoes. Might have planted too many, as I said. Check this out here. Oh my goodness. Let me get over around so you can see it. Look at how big that tomato is. Humongous tomatoes growing in here. Yep. I think this one is called the pink ponderosa. Yeah, I think that's the pink ponderosa. More beans here. Growing over my trellis. Picked these just a couple of days ago, and now look, I have more. So they are so prolific as well. It's like a little tunnel under there with my cherry tomatoes. This was planted on one of those ladder mesh blocks as well. You can kind of see it from here. And I did reinforce this one with some stakes to kind of make it more sturdier. One there and another one right over here, and I tied it, and it just keeps this thing from falling over. I do have drip irrigation under there. Over here I have onions growing that I need to harvest because the tops have fallen over, they've turned brown, so I really need to harvest those. I had these growing first, and then I planted a sugar baby bush bean in here. I mean bush watermelon, and there's one growing right there. That's the only one I have so far. And this plant here is a melon plant, and it is growing over one of those ladder mesh blocks as well. And this thing is really taking over my onions, which I knew I was going to harvest those. Look at those guys. And then take a look at this one here. Rich sweetness. So these are small melons. They're not going to get really big, which is why I like them, because you can harvest them quicker. And this is something that you can still grow right now, because you still have time to grow these, and you wouldn't have time to grow big melons because it's going to take a while for those to grow. But ones like this, you have time to grow them because they're not going to get that big anyway. So if you want to plant some more, you can plant some more of those. If I can find the name of this one, I will put it on the screen so that you can see what the name of it is. There's one growing right there. I do have these melons that stretched over into my onions. Let's see if I got anything growing in here. They just take over. Uh-oh, there's one right there that's growing. Looks like I'm gonna have plenty of melons. I have more onions in here. I need to get those out of here so that I can start letting them dry out a bit. And let's see, let me move over there. This is my hydrangea bush that I'm trying to put drip irrigation to. This is another bin. You know, I had two of these. One there that I just showed you. I have another one here. And I have more tomatoes. Isn't this pretty? This is a marigold. I started that from seed. Put in here tomatoes, more tomatoes. I have a melon plant growing in here. And this one is called the Jubilee watermelon. Haven't gotten anything yet. I hope I get something. This is a potato plant that voluntarily came up. I didn't plant it there. I don't know if it's affecting my rose bush, because my rose bush is really not looking too good right now. It's looking shabby, so I got to get on that one. And then these are the top hat tomatoes. I really should have put these in a little container, not in here, because these really do well in little containers, because this is about as big a size as the tomatoes get. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Thank you so much for joining me. And I have to say that one of my most favorite crops that I planted before I go are these beans. I never had them before, but they are so very delicious and so easy to cook. Stir frying them, they are so good. If you haven't had a chance to plant these, give them a try. So I hope to see you on the next video. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.